Hey guys, so in today's video, I wanted to give my advice for those of you who have a cleaning business startup who are thinking about setting up a cleaning business. So this would be exactly the types of things that I'd be thinking about if I was to do this all again. So there are five broad areas that I wanted to run by you. So the first and perhaps the most important is about specialization. Wherever you are in the world, there are likely to be lots of other cleaning companies around you. One of the questions I get asked all the time is, how do I differentiate myself? There are so many cleaning businesses out there. There are the franchises, there are independent cleaners. How do I find my niche? And that is really, really important. When a potential customer goes to your company, gives you a call, or goes to your website, they need to know why you are different to all the other cleaning companies out there and why they should choose your services. And this is where specialization is really, really important. You need to figure out, are you just going after residential clients? Are you going after the top end, the wealthiest residential clients? Are you going after offices, or are you going to be working with restaurants, or are you going to be doing floor cleaning? What's really important is that you choose a niche. Don't try and offer everything. Floor cleaning, window cleaning, office cleaning, house cleaning, because it is very, very difficult to scale your business in that way. There are lots of different bits of experience you need to grow each of those successfully. So it's far easier to focus on one, be the specialist in that area, be seen by the market to be that specialist, and that allows you to price high and grow your business from there. So to get started quickest, what I always tend to advise people is to focus on the residential market. So that is getting house cleaning clients. Ideally, you want to be getting and focusing on those clients that are looking for like a recurring service, so a weekly service, a bi-weekly service. They tend to be a great client to get, because they tend to stay with you a long time. They'll, if you're running a decent service, they will stay with you for a year, 18 months plus, and that's many thousands of dollars for you. And that client will be in your calendar every week, every 2 weeks, and it's easier to build out your calendar in that way. So what I tend to, people tend to ask me, do I go after residential, commercial? Do I do both to begin with? What I tend to suggest is start with residential. That way you can get your clients in quickest, you will get paid quickest, you'll get revenue generating. And then if you are still wanting to do commercial, then add commercial down the line once the existing business is up and running and generating money. So number one is specialization. And if it was me, I would be focusing on the recurring residential market, to begin with. Point two is pricing. This is something that I come across very, very often, is that you can speak to a cleaning business owner that is maybe relatively established. Maybe they're running a high six-figure business, even a seven-figure business, but after they pay all their cleaners, after they pay their office managers, all their software, all the marketing and recruitment costs, the business owner is left with very little money at the end of the day, and it can even be loss-making. It is one of those businesses where you really need to be on top of your costs. You really need to be aware of your pricing, because it is very common to get to a position where you don't have a lot of money as the cleaning business owner once all your costs are paid. So the number that I try to get people to think about is trying to price jobs off a 2 times labor number. What I mean by that is that if you were to recruit a cleaner, or if you were trying to find a cleaner in your area, what would that and when I talk about cleaner, if you were to hire a cleaner into your business, how much would you typically have to pay them to do that cleaning work? And the first place to look for is Indeed.com. That is a very, it's basically the Google for recruitment. So if you go to Indeed.com and type cleaning jobs in your location, in your city, you will see all the cleaning companies out there that are advertising for new cleaners, and you can very clearly see what are they're offering their cleaners. So with that number, you can then double that salary, that pay rate that is being offered out in the market, and that would be your the price that you want to charge your customer. So the reason for doing a 2x of your labor cost is that you need to make sure, as the cleaning business owner, that you're making enough money at the end of the day to reinvest in things like marketing, to reinvest in paying an office manager. And one of the very common things that I come across is that when you are starting your business at the beginning, it is usually just yourself. You don't have office managers, you don't have lots of software. So people tend to price too low and not to have enough profit margin after they pay their cleaners. But what we find is, as the cleaning company grows and as they incur more costs, suddenly that pricing that was getting them a decent profit margin when they were a small business is no longer getting them a decent profit margin, once they're twice or three times the size. So be disciplined around pricing, price high, have a look at Indeed and try and double the price that, double the pay rate that you're seeing in your market to get to the pricing that you charge your clients. Point 3 is about how you find your first clients, to begin with. So if you are going after residential clients, then the place to look to get straight out the gates are the pay-per-lead websites, and Bark and Thumbtack would be the two I'd be focusing on. Those two websites allow you to pay for individual leads. They don't tie you up into a multi-month, multi-year contract like Angie's List or anything like that. And the reason why I say to go there to begin with to find your first clients is that you don't need an expensive website to begin with. All you need is a bit of a description about your services, your phone number, your email, and then when you come across a lead that you like the look of, say there is someone who's looking for a weekly service for their 2-bedroom apartments in town, you can buy that lead for a set dollar amount, and then you get that lead's phone number, that lead's email, and you can contact them directly. So you can certainly get your first few jobs under your belt, do those jobs to begin with, and it's much better at this stage that you get first-hand experience of what it is like to be doing the cleaning as well as running a cleaning business before spending many thousands of dollars on an expensive website. So get your first clients through these pay-per-lead websites, put a bit of money to work, and that would be where I'd focus my time to get those first clients under my belt. Point 4 is about doing the cleaning yourself to begin with, and this is very common. Often with cleaning business owners, they are already doing the cleaning themselves, or they want to start a business and it will be just them to begin with, and they'll hire someone else further down the line. And I actually think, as a cleaning business owner, doing the cleaning or doing some of the cleaning to begin with is really, really important, because when you start hiring other cleaners into your business, and managing those cleaners, you will have first-hand experience of what it is actually like to be doing the cleaning yourself. You will know the types of things, the types of problems that you come across. Maybe you go to a job and it is an absolute disaster. Certainly nothing that was indicated to you when the client called you in the first place. Suddenly you have budgeted 3 hours for the job, but it's going to take you 5 hours. And if you do it 4 hours, things are going to get cut, and you run the risk of getting a complaint and a bad review. So the coming across these really disastrous jobs is common. And if you have first-hand experience of that, and one of your cleaners comes to you and says, I'm really sorry, this job is going to really overrun, what shall I do? Rather than just simply dismissing it and saying, well, just do as much as you can do in the time, you will be able to, appreciate what that cleaner is saying. And there are so many different other issues, other problems that you will come across, when you're managing your cleaning workforce. And if you can actually go to those cleaners and say, yes, I understand, that's what happened to me, that just helps to build the relationship. And what you'll find is, as you grow and scale your cleaning business, the ability to which you can engage with your cleaners means that, we'll have a direct correlation with how long those cleaners will stay with you. And if they refer their friends and family to you, what you tend to find is those companies that have a really engaged workforce are very happy in their jobs. They will tend to do a better job. They'll tend to stay with you for longer. And what that means is that your company will grow quicker. Those companies where cleaners are constantly coming and going, it is very hard to get momentum. The clients are unhappy. It's hard to grow your business in that way. So long story short, do some of the cleaning at the beginning. Be appreciative of the types of problems and issues that you come across, and that will really bode well for you when you start to hire those cleaners, further down the line as the company grows and develops. And then point 5 is about the website. So the website and having a website is really absolutely imperative in this day and age. Most clients will expect any legitimate companies, any legitimate cleaning companies to have a website. And if you've done what I've said in step 3, which is getting your first clients on these pay-per-lead websites, getting a few recurring clients, getting a bit of revenue, if you are happy with what you think a cleaning business will look like, what it would look like to run a cleaning business, and you still want to invest and you still want to push forward, then it'll be at that stage when you've got some money under your belt that you can invest in a website. And the website doesn't need to be overcomplicated. You can buy many templates out there. If you've got any questions about that, just drop me a comment and I can point you to some resources. But really, you just want a simple website, a phone number, contact form, an email address, so it's easy for people to get in touch with you. And once you've got that, you can then use that as a jumping board onto other more interesting marketing channels. And it would be at this stage, once you've got your website under your belt, that I would be looking at Google ads. I would be looking at Google local service ads. And further down the line, when you've grown your business, to say 20K a month plus, I would be looking at SEO. So Google and being visible on page 1 on Google is really where you want to focus. That's where you find the best clients. That's where you find the highest paying clients. It's a far better pool of potential clients than the pay-per-lead websites, because the pay-per-lead websites will sell that lead to multiple cleaning companies. So you end up having to compete with all the others. Whereas a potential client that comes to your website through Google ads or Google local service ads, is just your lead, that lead that hasn't been sold to other cleaning companies. So point 5 is about the importance of building out a website. Build the website, invest the money in the website once you have a bit of experience under your belt, once you've got a few customers and you've got a better understanding of what it is like to actually build a cleaning business. And once you have that website, that's when you want to start putting more money into work. That's when you want to start putting more money into Google ads, into Google local service ads, and that will be where you find the best potential clients for your business. So I hope this video has been helpful. As I said, quickly running through the 5 points again, my advice for cleaning business startups. Point 1 is specialize. If it was me, I'd be focusing on the domestic recurring client base. Point 2 is pricing. Look to Indeed to see what the pay rates are for cleaners in your market and double that amount to get to a price to charge your client. That will allow you to have enough profit left over to reinvest and grow your business. Point 3 is finding your first few clients on the pay-per-lead websites, such as Bark and Thumbtack. You don't need a website to begin with, and that will allow you to start generating revenue very quickly and give you an idea of what it is like to have and manage those first few clients. Point 4 is the importance of cleaning yourself. Having that first-hand experience will put you in a really great position when you start to hire cleaners further down the line. And then point 5 is that once you are happy to invest and grow your cleaning business, build a website, look to get a template set up. And once you have that set up, then put money into the Google ads and Google local service ads and SEO further down the line, because Google page 1 is where you will find the very best potential clients. So if you found the video helpful, please like, comment and subscribe. That really helps me to understand what you guys find helpful. But otherwise, I'll leave it at that. Have a great day and see you on the next one.